Hi, how are you? How's it been? How's it going? And how do you think it's going to be? Bryce here with Scholarly Sidetracks, welcoming you into episode 14. On a show made to showcase the wide variety of avenues a person can take after high school, as well as normalize all the speed bumps and detours we can take, I've brought on Alberto, Cervantes, Enriquez. Someone who's bounced around a little bit, from going from Texas to being a Navy man in Japan with the Medical Corps, and then going on to do cybersecurity. A little bit of a bounce around, which we love. They're always welcome here. Whether you want a couple tips on how to keep your own information safe or you're looking to go into cybersecurity yourself, Alberto helps give an idea on all the different flavors that can happen. And just about none of them are like the movie type where they're just sitting there on a computer, tap, 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 and, oh, I'm hacking, I made it in. It's not that. It's much cooler, I think. Welcome in, everyone. Thanks for coming into the podcast today. I've got on today a friend of mine who, though we haven't been friends for a long time, I do call him my brother. Hi, Albert. How are you?
Good, dude. How are you?
Not too bad. Thanks a lot for coming on. And for anyone who doesn't know who you are, Albert, who are you? What do you do? What's like your little 10-second, this is who I am and why I'm cool?
Like my little elevator speech?
Yeah.
Right. So, my name's Alberto Cervantes Enriquez. I have two last names, which is kind of weird. However, I'm from Odessa, Texas, and I joined the Navy to get away from Odessa, Texas, and get my benefits to go to college. Right now, I'm a student using my GI Bills. Right now, I got a 70% disability, so from the military, which means I'm also allotted an extension to my GI Bill, which gives me an extra 48 months to toward my GI Bill, and I actually do forget how much I get on my original GI Bill. I don't know if it's like 32 months of funds being allocated to my schooling. But yeah, what's it called? I served in the Navy as a medical corpsman for 5 years, and then from there I decided that I wanted to do cybersecurity, or IT really, and then I changed from IT just to cybersecurity, and right now I'm going toward my bachelor's at Texas A&M San Antonio.
With the official degree of being in how does IT degree sound like?
There's a couple IT pathways for people searching for that major. So it's like cybersecurity, then there's network administration, and then programming, which is mostly that falls under computer science. But computer scientists are actually more of the scientist part of the IT world than not. IT is more of the one that handles more of the network infrastructure mostly, if that makes sense. But yeah,
Not so much about like the hard pieces, the components. That'd be the computer scientist.
right. It's like engineer. It's like comparing engineers to a mechanic. So we're like the mechanics of the IT world, where they are the engineers of their world, if that makes sense. And so it's kind of like that's how that is.
Well, cool deal. Well, what made you think to do IT or anything in that route? Was it something you've longed for since even high school? Is it kind of more of a recent passion?
I heard that it's more solitary, but now that I'm going through my major, it's beneficial to actually be more teamwork oriented than not, just so we could find vulnerabilities and find vulnerabilities to fix them and patch systems or applications or the network, if that makes sense. It's kind of a really big deal because a lot of people rely on the internet than not, because it's what we're talking about right now. It's what's reported on right now. Also, people use it for gaming, mostly communication stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how much our entire lives are on the internet in some way.
Yeah.
From just talking to banking. Yeah, that's what I want to think of. A bigger one is banking.
Well, even right now, Tesla, there's a lot of your information. If you have a Tesla product, that i.e. being the Starlink internet router or internet service provider, the vehicles that they have collects a lot of your information, which I've been understanding that it's actually kind of bad to have all that information, because one of my classes that I was interested in was computer forensics, explaining that a lot of the information that you think you delete from your devices hasn't really been deleted completely unless you override that information on that specific storage. So like either your RAM or your SSD.
Is that a normally easy thing for the average Joe to go do if they want to keep their information safe and try and go and delete the hard, like to go do a real delete? Is that tricky, or do they kind of need someone more professional like you to help them out?
Honestly, you can go look up stuff to override all of your devices. However, there's always that risk that somebody could get that information either way. Nothing's 100% proven to be written, if that makes sense. It's not always 100%. But through the class that I was taking through computer forensics, we understood that even if you erase any type of file, we could use tools like autopsy and search for that information that you're trying to hide, or any information like we are interested in. So let's say if I'm a hacker that wants to get secondhand phone from the shop at a pawn shop, you can go and use autopsy to figure out what's been erased and then retrieve or extract that information that's been hidden away. So it's kind of easy, just because like you can follow steps that are on other websites like GitHub. There's like a step-by-step on how to use autopsy to get that information. So it's not as hard as you think. It's not like, dark web issues where it's like
the smartest guy hacker ever has finally got my info.
Right. And there's even a term for it for hackers that do not understand their tools and how they get that information or why, but they're called script kiddies. And script kiddies are just novice people that use these tools to hack your devices or get into your accounts.
Wow. So like, as far as like your forensics teaching is kind of getting across, the only way to do as much of a permanent delete as you can is hope you haven't put that information on like a network, and anything physical just needs to get completely obliterated physically in some way to like just toast it, like drown it, burn it, something like that extreme. Is that what it takes?
Yeah, that's the 100% way, because when I was an intern at my college, they took these hard drives and they put them in a magnet scrambler where it like destroys the disks within the hard disk, within the hard drive. Or what the government does, or military most likely, is that they get a screwdriver and they just drill holes in the hard drive, and so that's 100%. That's how you get rid of all information or sensitive information that you don't want to get out.
That's fun.
Yeah, but theoretically, yes, you can overwrite every aspect of your device. However, there is that chance, a slight chance, that it might not have been overwritten. There might be a feature, even your camera or your one of the things that I've heard of is that sometimes your battery is actually technically advanced enough to hold certain types of information to streamline the process for it to work better for you. But it usually sometimes contains certain information that you wouldn't think that it would have. But it's like, what the heck?
The batteries are getting smart now.
Yeah, that's one big thing in computer science, I think, is batteries. They're working to make batteries smaller and provide more battery life energy to your devices. I don't know if the stuff that they do to it does do that for like it collecting data and whatnot.
Just trying to get you to use the thing anyway, so
right.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
So with all of your like IT type schooling you're going through, is there like a specific career you really hope to get, or like a general day-to-day that you hope to be doing eventually?
I actually changed my mind on what career path I wanted to take, but still cybersecurity, but I wanted it to be with the federal government. But because of what's going on with the Department of Government Efficiency, how it's cutting a lot of funds for these organizations or associations, even I feel like the FBI or NSA might get impacted, because although they don't directly involved with those, right? Or they don't really need to talk with them to like say like, hey, we're efficient. Trump has been cutting funds like the Department of Education, where it's like basically useless to have a Department of Education. So I think that's the route they might go with, of defunding the FBI, because I think that's the only power that the president has to go against federal law enforcement. But right now, what I want to do, or my career path, is going to state or city. I want to go apply for a state job here in Texas, or a city in Las Vegas, or city or state job in Las Vegas, Nevada, just because of the pension that they have. It's pretty good. But what I would want is to go into law enforcement for the state or city, but the computer forensics or computer analytics part of it. So I could do the investigations of finding sensitive information that perpetrators want to hide or try to get away with.
And is that something that needs just a bachelor's? Do you need a master's or certain kind of certifications to have those careers?
There are certain certifications. There's also training programs, but yes, a lot of the um, what I've been researching is that the job postings or listings uh, does need a minimum of a bachelor's, but also I think at least 3 years of experience, which I don't have experience, but I'm hoping that I can get my foot in the door and work with them. But I don't know if I'm going to go as law enforcement, as in like a Texas State Trooper or Las Vegas Metro Police Department, and or another avenue. I'm still in the process of contacting them, but I haven't really. I've just looked up what the requirements are. But actually, I did contact a forensics analysis position in Las Vegas because I thought that's where I might have a good chance of for forensics. I was thinking that computer forensics might fall under the forensic department in that route, if that makes sense. But they're like, no, that's a different department. That's more law enforcement. Even though we are a part of that law enforcement, but you could also still apply after you get your bachelor's, and it'll get your foot in the door. And I'm like, all right, awesome.
Hey, hopefully that hands out to something. I mean, that's the tough part with any job is trying to get that experience for the entry level thing that gets you to go on. And they're like, oh, we still want experience too. And you're like, I don't know how.
But there is an internship that I am interested in getting. But again, it's more in the federal government. It's part of Homeland Security. It would be for computer forensics, and it's kind of interesting. But yeah, but I don't know what I would be doing. It just says no experience needed. Just get your foot in the door. I would be getting paid though.
Hey, that's always a plus.
Yeah.
And speaking of getting paid, you mentioned being on like the Pell Grant and all kinds of military-esque things. So tell me a little bit about your story of going into the Navy. Was it straight out of high school? Was it a little bit later? What got you into there and such?
No, yeah, it was straight out of high school. I really wanted to get out of Odessa because it's like either go into the oil field or construction, and I was like, that kind of doesn't interest me. I also wanted to travel the world, so I got to travel the world. I went in, finished a basic, went to Corpsman A school. From Corpsman A school, I got accepted into my C school for aviation medicine technician, and then from there, I wanted to go to Japan, so there was only 2 slots open, and I got one of the slots to go to Iwakuni, Japan. Stayed there for 3 years, and that was from 2017 to 2020. So that was a pretty good ride.
Is the total like what's the word contract time like 5 years for
Yeah,
Navy
five
as
years.
well?
Yeah, 5 years.
And for anyone who's, we've had, you obviously know the one Marine man we had on earlier, John Hansen. And so for anyone who's contemplating doing military and, the different branches all have their pluses and minuses, we've got the Marine who said yay, nay, or in between. What would you say are some goods and bads of the Navy? Whether it's like, oh, it's pretty good if you like to do this kind of work, or if you like to have this kind of facet to your life, whether like when you say travel the world, whether the Navy is more prone to travel or not, or anything in that vein. Is there something to where you're like, let's say it's me, and I'm like, I want to join the Navy. What are you going to tell me is great or not so great about it?
There's more opportunities with the Navy. Every time I've talked with somebody else or any other service member that's in the Army or Air Force, they're mostly inbound at home more here at the States than they would go out in special duty. But the Army has a bigger presence actually in Europe than in Japan, and the Marine Corps and Navy has a bigger presence in the Asiatic countries, so more toward Japan and actually no, not anymore. I guess we don't have the Philippines anymore. But no, yeah, Japan and Korea. We have a place in Spain, a base in Spain. Oh crap, I forgot what it's called.
Wouldn't know.
Yeah, no, it's such a everybody knows it. It's at the top of my tongue. It'll come to me, but no, yeah, it's generally those areas, either in Japan or Korea, and then Spain. But and then what's it called in Korea though? Air Force is more prone there than anywhere else, so that's where a lot of people go. Air Force and Army.
And is it as typical as people might think when they say Navy? Are you on a boat like all the damn time?
I wasn't, and a lot of sailors aren't. A lot of people are actually on land more than not. But yes, I want to say like half the sailors are probably on the boats. The other half are on land. I was attached to a Marine Corps unit, so that was or a Marine Corps base because the Marine Corps doesn't have their own medical corps, so so we're attached to the Marine for the Marines for that, and it was kind of cool. It was a awesome experience.
I was going to go to my next question because a lot of times Marines and Navies get kind of grouped together in a lot of conversation. So that brings up a good thing of so it's they're lacking a medical unit themselves. And is there other reasons that is it like the Marines are kind of like a little branch off the Navy, or is it just because you guys are in the same areas most of the time? It's just easy, just be like, hey, buddy, buddy, like yeah.
Yes, kind of. It's weird just because like they are. There's like conflicts where people say like, yeah, their Marine Corps is their own the military branch, but there's only I guess four major branch. Wait, no, five. I guess
Don't forget the
Army.
Space Force now.
No, Space Force is under Air Force, so it's like Army, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. I'm trying to think about the fifth, but I think it's probably just four major ones because with the Army and then Air Force. Air Force has covers Space Force, and then the Navy, the Department of the Navy covers the Navy and the Marine Corps, and then Coast Guard it's its own thing. But I don't know if there's fifth one. I'm trying to see, but no, I think there's just four. The big four is the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard. No, yeah, I just forgot. Like that's why. But technically, the Marine Corps is under the Department of the Navy or under the Navy, and then they get their budget from us, and so we allocate them their own budget for the Marine Corps. So that's why it's like that's why we work close together because we're under the same budget or the same department.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, was it the prospect of travel that got you into specifically the Navy, or why'd you pick that one branch?
Called my uncle. He was a Marine, and he said that there's more tuition assistance through the Navy. So that was kind of why I picked it. But I never really touched the tuition assistance because I was like always wanting to do stuff. So I was not really at one place at one time. So I couldn't really use my tuition assistance to study.
Gotcha. And you got to travel to Japan. Was that like the main spot?
Yeah,
As far as like traveling around?
that's where I was stationed at. Then I went on the MEU, which is like a Marine Expedition Unit, where there's a bunch of boats, and for the Marine Corps to go do their exercises. And I was attached to VMFA 121. That was attached to one particular ship called the Wasp, which is a mini aircraft carrier, but its actual classification is an LHD. But forgot what it stands for. LHD, Landing Covering Department, probably. But no, it's what it used to carry the Harriers back in like when they were still in commission. It's the airplane that kind of like takes off vertically and then.
Is it like the double, like the front and back chopper thing that the big
No,
pillbox?
that's the 22. That's those are the oh my gosh, the Ospreys. No, those are different, but those are still used. But the other one's like a jet, so it just like yeah, so
Okay,
it,
I
like
get what you mean.
yeah, so it goes up vertically and then takes off horizontally and then stops stops and then could just land vertically. But
Interesting.
now that that's uncommissioned, now they use it more for the F-35s, and those are the ones that like take off semi vertically, I guess.
Like 45 degree.
They just need a lot less runway to get off, but then they land vertically like that, so they could just stay in one
Just
position.
flop down.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's cool, but yeah.
And so, what can you tell me about your experience in Japan? As far as is it tough to adjust? Is it not so much because you got the base there, and so you got a lot of people who are American or English speaking, and it's got a lot of American vibes to it. You're not really in Japan, or maybe you were. Is there anything that was like a shell shock, or not so much when you were in Japan?
I think I adjusted a little too quickly, but I think also because we're on a base where like the community is very small, so yeah, we didn't feel as alone because I was always hanging out with other service members, which was kind of cool. So yeah, you kind of get to know everybody on base, so it's kind of like home away from home at times. But Japan itself was actually really nice. The people were nice. A lot less crime. Very clean place than you would expect. It was just kind of off-putting because I was walking. The first time I got off base, I was walking and I was like, I feel like something's different, but I don't know what it is. And realizing that there was absolutely no trash anywhere, just like how you would go to a major city or a small city like here in San Antonio, where you'd be like, oh yeah, there's trash
It helps
floating in the
decorate
air.
the ground.
Yeah, but Japan was a great experience. People were really nice. The food was great. What I had to get accustomed was trying to find my spice high because I love spicy food. The only thing that satiated my spice palate was going off base to either get Indian food, which I tried for the first time there, and it was great. It's like for us spicy mole, I guess, or Japanese curry, which Japanese curry in Japan. There's a chain restaurant specifically for Japanese curry that you could ask for a spice level, and I always ask for spice level 10 to get my spice high. I was like, really good.
So for those who are spice hunters, you're saying it's hard to find spicy food much of the time in Japan?
Yes, unless if you're finding an Indian place or Coco's. That's the chain restaurant that I was talking about.
Gotcha. I was curious, because some people, not everyone gets that much exposure to Japan necessarily. And so if it's even just going to like an international market and you see like all the ramen flavors and half of them are spicy and all over the place of like crazy fire, blah, blah, blah. And some people might
Yeah,
think, oh, they just love their spicy food. But no, that's just more, it's easier to sell that in a way, or like it's an American market and we want some spice and for whatever reason. So what was your, just because we're talking about the food, I can't help it. What was your favorite, do you have a favorite Japanese dish? Or like favorite thing you would eat over there?
chicken cutlet curry. It's pretty good. Yeah, and then you could always ask them to put like cheese in the curry. And then the one thing that I have been trying to search for here in the States is garlic cheese naan, and I have not been able to find it yet. And just trying to see, except for the Indian place that you and I went to, that was kind of a good naan, good curry, really good curry actually.
Yeah, I used to love the crap. I still like the place, but I used to be like my favorite thing when I was going to the U of A the first time. Whatever, I literally would go there every single Wednesday for a semester. That's how I got my chronic heartburn. Kind of
Oh
worth
no.
it. It was so good. I'd be going there all the time, and I'd get a one meal to eat there. Like it'd be 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock after classes. Get one meal to eat there, and then a second meal to take home that I can have later in the week and stuff. I ate that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Was there a dish that you were hoping you would like but didn't, or like you just is like your least favorite thing?
I think the only thing that I have not been able to get over is either oysters or something of that type of kind, like mussels. I think mussels, something like
Mussels,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't eat those. I feel like I'm gonna choke. I guess if I eat them, I'm like, oh,
I think I've had maybe 3 times a mussel type food, like oysters. Like the one I could think of, which was the best shot for me to be able to like them, was in San Francisco area, like on the Fisherman's Wharf. They had like a fried oyster po' boy, and I love Cajun food and stuff. So I was like, okay, great. And there's just like the texture of them. Like if they're called mussels because it feels like you're just chewing into muscle or something like that. It's just this weird. Couldn't get over it. I'm glad people like them, but especially like the shucked ones where they're on ice. I'm like, that looks cool, kinda. And then I'm like, oh, I can't think about that slurping that thing.
I think what's crazy, and I don't know if how true this is, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty true though. I think Japan is the second that has like the most prominent Michelin star restaurants, and that's because a lot of their chefs actually go to France and to study over there for some odd reason. Don't know why, but I think that's why a lot of their sweets are really good in Japan.
Oh, I freaking love any of those like Japanese or Korean style like French bakeries that pop up every once in a while here in the States. Those are like my freaking favorite thing because it's just the perfect combo of like French European baking. So you have like those textures you can think of as far as the pastries and the bread, but it's not always super sweet. If they do use creams, then maybe they're using like the purple potato creams, or they're using like yuzu for like a different kind of lemon taste to it, or black freaking red bean buns and stuff like that, or red bean donuts. Just one thing freaking on my mind. I love that shit.
Yeah, which is crazy because I think I've had red bean pastries in Mexico, but I don't know where in Mexico. And then I would ask my dad like, "Hey, where can we get that red bean pastry here?" It's like, "Oh, they don't have them here in the States." And I'm like, "So we have to go to Mexico?" It's like, and I'm like, "Ah."
No. I've tried making a red bean pastry thing once. Tried making like little buns and stuff. It worked okay. It's like getting the paste down can be a little bit tricky. I watched a video that showed me there's like 2 different ways to do it. This where you basically just take the beans, boil them down, cook them with the sugar and such, and then just blend that whole thing up. And that's one version. And then there's a much more complicated way of doing it where you like boil it down, blend it up, remove the skins, like you have to put it through a sieve, then you let that mixture sit so that the water separates. Then you take off that water, rinse it off, let that wait. Do like this whole like 4 or 5 rinsing thing just to get like this pure meat of the bean. No skin, just the inside of the bean for it. I'm like, I ain't gonna try that anytime soon. That's gonna take me a minute. So, do you plan on doing any kind of international traveling in the future, like for your career, or would it be just for fun more so going forward?
Well, I am planning to get my Mexican citizenship, and that's one thing that I kind of prevented me from probably getting it was getting a security clearance to the federal government, and that is it doesn't um, prohibit me from getting a security clearance. It just makes the process a little longer. And though, like we have a good relationship with Mexico, even though what's going on right now it doesn't seem so. But I was looking up, like, yeah, there's after I if I get a state job and retire after 25, 30 years, and I'm still wanting to work, I'm hoping to go into the private sector, like probably GM. GM has a huge presence in Mexico.
Like General Motors GM?
Yeah, General Motors. Yeah, they have a. I was talking over here with one of them at a workforce thing that they were showing at school. I forgot what it's called. Like where there's different panels of like
Like a
companies.
mixer kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. And then I went to GM Financial, and that's a different department of General Motors. And they're like, "Yeah, we have internship positions for you here if you're interested." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." I was asking, and I asked them like, "But do you guys have internship opportunities overseas?" They're like, "Actually, we do. GM Financial office down in Monterrey, Mexico. Don't know where that is really, but I'm pretty sure it's up
You don't know
kind
where
of.
Monterrey is, or just not where their building is there?
I don't know where Monterrey. I'm specifically Monterrey. I know it's like northwest, northeast toward the Gulf of Mexico, kind of. I think it might be Nuevo Laredo,
In
or even
Mexico.
though it's Nuevo
I'm
Laredo.
gonna look it up right now. Oh, it's one word. Okay, I'm spelling it 2 words
Oh yeah,
better.
it's kind of weird. Well, it's spelled one word, but like it is 2 words because it's like Monte, which is mountain, and then Rey, which is king. So it's like Mountain King,
Nice.
but like together. But
Let's see. Yeah, it's on the northeast side of, if I understand how this mapping works, in what is like a city state of Nuevo Leon.
yeah, okay, cool. Sometimes I get confused with Nuevo Leon because I think Nuevo Leon's also a city, so it's like the city within the state. Nuevo Leon, Nuevo Leon, or something, or Nuevo Leon, Laredo, probably. I'm not for sure, but yeah, if I get enough experience, I think I could probably offer a bridge between, or get a job that bridges between Mexico and the U.S. I guess any business that goes for cybersecurity or IT type jobs, and I'm okay in my Spanish, but I think I could probably practice a lot more because I do practice my Spanish frequently with my parents or yeah, with my dad and then that part of the family, and they ask me a lot of questions about what my degree entails, right? And so I have to look up a lot of words, and I even started to look up articles in Spanish for what's going on in the internet or cyberspace and everything, and so it helps a lot. Didn't know that networks in Spanish is called red, and I'm like, oh. Or here's a weird translation. It's like, forgot what's Instagram again? Social media. So social media in Spanish is redes sociales, but direct translation is like social networks.
Hmm.
So it's kind of kind of a like it doesn't like translate like word for word, but sometimes it does. And I was looking up stuff to do where I get my certifications in Spanish, but I don't know if I need to if I have my U.S. certifications like for CompTIA or CompTIA. Certain people have different pronunciations for that, but yeah, CompTIA is like the catch-all for IT certifications. CompTIA A plus, that's for more basic understanding of computers and stuff, and then you go from CompTIA A plus. There's 2 tests I have to take to be certified in it, and it's called like right now it's 1101 and 1102. You have to take, and after you take those tests, you could go take Network Plus, but you don't necessarily need to go in that order. You could always just take Network Plus and forget about the A Plus certification, or go to Security Plus and forget those other certifications, and you could just start with that certification. Or again, Cisco offers a lot of certifications, and Cisco is a also a networking certification company, and not just for certifications, but they also provide a lot of devices, so like routers, firewalls, and stuff for companies and softwares. And I guess if you're customer services, if you needed help through them, that's kind of it. But these certifications that I'm talking about also have different versions of them. So it's not just an English version, but there's Hindi, there's Japanese, there's Spanish, but again, other parts of the world probably have different companies that have their different certifications. Forget. There was. Oh wait, Alticel. I think Alticel is one company that's more in Europe, and that's they're similar to Cisco, where they offer their own certifications and devices and other services.
It's funny that you bring up. I wouldn't have thought that there'd be, all these different language barriers in some sense. Like it kind of makes sense in some ways to if you're going to be working both for United States and Mexico to be certified in both. It seems a little redundant in some ways, but the main point I'm getting to is I thought it'd be funny like, oh, but Alberto, you are you're trilingual. You can speak Japanese, English, and Spanish. But I guess not so much, or like a little bit.
What I no Japanese phrases here and there. Just what I realized, if Cisco is mostly a command line interface, it's kind of a different, its own like language, I guess. But there's a debate between that where it's like, oh, it's not a language, it's just how it's set up, or it is a language because it's like it does have its own syntax, which for a lack of better words is grammar. It's its own little grammar thing. If you use these devices in a different part of the world, you might still need to know a lot of English words to understand what's going on. Sometimes it doesn't change that much, but it does change a little bit. Also with like programming, there might be, let's say like Chinese programmer might be a lot mostly Chinese in this program. However, there's going to be those little words that are still in English, and it's kind of weird how that works. And that's something that I've kind of wanted to get into, but I haven't done too much research on it. But it's kind of interesting just because it's something that kind of is bringing us a little together. I feel like, right? That the internet has brought us closer together, I guess. And then these programming languages are kind of like one of the staples of that, just because it's like you kind of have to be bilingual in a sense of English and your primary language, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of cool. I like it.
And so for all these certifications, these are from a separate company. It's not like a part of your bachelor's schooling. It's something you got to get your degree, or at some point you got to go out of your way to go get those certifications separately.
Right. A lot of my classes covers like, hey, this is what we're covering, and these are the certifications that you could apply for and test out of.
That's good. That way you don't have to be totally stranded. We're like, hey, you got your degree, and then you go study some other stuff, and then you have to figure out this friggin' certification that it is tied together, even if you have to physically go do a separate thing, whatever.
Right.
All right. Trying to make sure if there's anything else I want to ask about your journey before I get to the big questions.
Oh no!
They're not that,
I thought these
were
the big questions.
No, yeah, I just say that to be dramatic. They're not big, I promise. I thought I was passing pretty good. Now it's fucking over.
Oh no!
No. Here's the first one. This will give you an idea of how they're not that big and scary. And the second one's not even a question, actually. So the first one, looking at your entire life on what you've done from high school to today, whether it involves the Navy, your cybersecurity degree, whatever, you get to have one redo. Whether it's really small, like, man, I would have gone to Coco's every Friday because I love that place and I miss it now. Or I would have actually done a different part of the Navy, or I would have done not the Navy. Anything big or small, if you were given a redo to your life, would you take it? And what would you do if so?
I don't think I would have. I would redo everything the same, honestly, just because it's like I got to experience different flavors of different parts of my life, where I went from high school to the medical field, from the medical field to IT, but within the military and the medical field, I also had the opportunity to branch out and make new friends in different aspects of other jobs, I guess, that you wouldn't necessarily think about. When's the last time you saw like a nurse talk with a mechanic in the same setting of like, hey, how was your birthday yesterday, or how are your kids, and this and that, right? And with the military, it's kind of cool that like different jobs are in the same area, I guess. To the point where you're like, hey, how are you? Like, it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of cool. But no, I wouldn't really change anything just because I would redo everything exactly the same.
So even though you bounced around a little bit and that you've gone to the military, you're not doing that anymore. You went into medical and now you're not doing that anymore. You don't feel like you've wasted your time at all. That was all just part of living.
Yeah, it was great. Just because it's like as a corpsman, you get to, I feel like you have more freedoms than not, if that makes sense. To go make sure if that your Marines are okay or if your friend is okay. It's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of cool. Just because it's like, yeah, this is cool, but I kind of want to go do something else. But no, yeah, I would do it the same way all over again.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Every answer is valid from everyone that gets on the show, and it's not like I'm always expecting people to have, yeah, I definitely, this one thing I want to change. And I usually pose that question as for if anyone's at the same point in their life as you would make the change. Like, let's say you would be like, I actually wouldn't have done the Navy for whatever reason, just to pull something out of my ass. And someone might be sitting here getting ready to go into the Navy, and they might be like, oh, I wonder why he says that, or why yay, or why nay. And they would get to reap the benefits of your wisdom. But if you like your life, that's still good too. It's not like you have to always pass on something to the next people, because, there's going to be plenty of others who are also going to change their life in a few different ways, or maybe they stick with the same thing forever and ever. And still be happy, That's not like you have to bounce around or have to not and still smile.
Actually, what's funny is that I might bounce around one more time. It just depends on how high I could pass the LSATs.
It might be bouncing again. That could be fun, and we'll bring you on again when that happens and be like, all right, so we got to change from Mr. Cervantes.
No, it's just that to get into what's it called, to become a lawyer, right? Because that's what the LSATs is for, is to get into the program for an attorney, I guess. And that program is called JD, the Juris Doctorate, and it's kind of like a misnomer, right? Because it's like, I think juris is probably jury, and then doctorate is a doctor, but it's not really a doctor, I guess. I looked up, it's like, hey, do I get called a doctor? It's like, no, you get the title of attorney, and I'm like, awesome. But yeah, it's another 3 years, but I don't know how bad I want it. And the reason I would like to do the attorney side of it is for cybersecurity and policies at UT Austin. That is something that does interest me because it's still in the realm of cybersecurity, and it's something that is still kind of brand new. Just because there's not a lot of laws for the internet, if that makes sense. There is a lot of laws, but not like more than you would think. A lot of the issues that come from companies getting sued from is by privacy laws, believe it or not. And that is also kind of interesting to me, just because the reason behind it is that the internet contains and transfers so much information throughout the day that companies can be negligent on that aspect, and they might already be breaking a privacy law and that doesn't relate anything to cybersecurity, but because they were negligent on that aspect of how they handled that information, now that's where they're getting sued from, is by privacy laws.
Damn. So you would finish your bachelor's and then theoretically go to law school?
Yes.
Damn, that'd be cool.
But another 3 years and then another year for a master's, I don't know, dude. I'd be already.
It's a lot of time.
I don't get to be called a doctor? I'm like...
We can still call you doctor, It might irritate some people. I do find the term doctor to be used a little liberally sometimes, depending on what you get your doctorate in. I'm a little biased in that and it's tricky in the American healthcare system because we all have had shitty doctors. So to put that word doctor on a high pedestal can put a sour taste in some people's mouth. But to me, there's doctors, people who like save your life, help your health, mental, physical, both in between. And then there's doctorates of history, of music, of communication, of whatever you might think is not a doctor. Doctorate muse would be me. If I was to get my astronomy PhD, that's what I would prefer, even though, it's just this weird, like, respect, I guess, for lack of words, for the medical field. I'm like, those are people who freaking cure disease. That's the idea. Do they all? No, but it's better to say most of them do and be like, oh, yay, love those guys. But I digress and pissed people
I
off
feel
again.
for medical doctor and for any other specialization of doctor, you have to be good at one thing, and that's doing your research. And that's something that people do forget, is that a lot of our society is based on also doing your research and seeing, hey, what works, what doesn't work, is that true or is that not true? I like history. I love the doctors that do go into history and then go on to National Geographic or anything explaining like, hey, this is what happened on this day, da da. And why? And then, like, it sometimes crosses over with history and science. I think one aspect of it, history, science, and art, right? There's one painting here at San Antonio. I forget if it's San Antonio something. San Antonio,
Texas.
Nah, an art museum. San Antonio Art Museum, or I forget this other place, but I forget this painter's name, his full name, but his name is also Albert. But he painted these great paintings, right, of nature, and it's just like cool that it's like sunsets, right? It's really cool sunsets, really beautiful and everything. The orange and then the green of the forest that he's painting, right? It was in the 1800s. What happened in the 1800s? I think there was a volcano that erupted, and it was the year of no sun, I think, where it was like the eruption was so bad that it affected the entire world, and then climate change lowered the temperature of the environment throughout the world because of the particles that went up in the air. But because of those particles, it started making these vibrant colors that we don't see today out in for sunsets and everything, right? So it's kind of where history meets science, science meets art, kind of, right? And then somebody that drew that time and place, and using those same colors to give us like, this is what it looked like on this day, and we have the history explaining like, oh yeah, the reason why these colors are so vibrant, or why this artist chose these colors, isn't because it's fake. It's actually what it looked like at that time. And then the scientists go, like, your geologists go and look up the layers of dirt, right, of the land, and saying like, oh yeah, it happened because of the sediments. It happened this year, right? And it's kind of cool. It's like where art, science, and history kind of meets together. I always like that analogy, if that makes sense. But what I was getting back at again is that these doctors do their research, and although they might not get the praise that medical doctors get, it's still an important field just because it's something that it's good to know. It's a part of our history or part of understanding the world.
Yeah, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on, my stupid. It's an old thing. Just for you talking about it, brought it up in me. I was like, I used to be really anal about, well, that's not a doctor, that's actually a doctorate. The amount of research people go through for getting their doctorate to become doctors, that's fantastic. Like, call it whatever you want. It's fantastic. And so that's cool. If we're going to call them all doctors, fine, I'm going to get over it. I don't really care. They're helping advance our knowledge as a species for the good of anything. I don't know of any time really, besides exploitation, that knowledge can be a bad thing.
Right. Well, even right now, I'm taking a class for violence, and it's literally called violence, and it's a criminology class. And there's this term called social Darwinism, and it's used by white supremacists saying like they need to save the best race possible, and they believe that it's Caucasians. However, they exploited Darwin's findings to validate their belief system, and so I think that's also something that kind of is interesting when you say like, it's good to know the knowledge, but hopefully it's not exploited in the wrong way.
So that people don't take the dumb thing that they think we've evolved into everything just ends at white man. That's some funny shit, in my opinion. Like, obviously back then you have a lot less access to info, so maybe it'd be kind of believable. But now that just makes me fucking laugh. We all evolved into white men. This is it. This is the end. I hope not. Fuck. Like, this is dumb.
Like, I get sunburns, bro. It's like not cool.
I can't go outside for 20 minutes without my shoulders being on fire.
It's good to know about stuff, but hopefully it doesn't get exploited that much for the wrong reasons.
And so for our last little bit of time here, I always turn it over to our guests. You get to have 30 seconds, 30 minutes of me not asking questions. It's just your chance to say whatever you like, whether you wish to be inspiring, funny, or just say an official goodbye. Is there anything you'd like to say, Albert?
Well, I guess for people wanting to go into cybersecurity, it is a always changing major slash profession. It's a very broad category to be in because you could go for network admin, protecting the networks if you want, or you could go into programming, cybersecurity programming. It's not just for computer scientists, but cybersecurity programming for Python or Java. Java is not really it's not really used anymore, and it can't be hooked up onto the internet anymore because it has a lot of vulnerabilities. But Python and JavaScript, you could get into that. But what I was told is like you want to get into Python more than not. There's other avenues you don't have to do. My career path of like wanting to go to the government or state, you could go into the medical field. The medical field needs a lot of IT cybersecurity specialists or technicians. They handle a lot of information, patient information that they don't want to get exploited, right? They have to protect that information at the hospital. Also, you go into law. Law is a pretty cool thing to get into. Not use again my path of me wanting to go cybersecurity first, then going from cybersecurity into get my JD program, and then going to cybersecurity and policies. You could go actually do anything you want. You go into history, getting your bachelor's in history, go get your JD program, and then go into whatever other specializations that you want in that field. What's it called? Not to be the expert of everything because it is a broad category. Do a lot with it, I guess. And there's a lot of information out there. You go Google up like top cybersecurity stuff that I should be learning, or YouTube. YouTube is my best friend. I love YouTube. I go network with Chuck. I go use Professor Messer. Those are my two big things, or other cool stuff, I guess. Hack the Box. Hack the Box is a kind of free thing that you could use to go and practice your skills and try to learn more stuff as you're playing their games and everything, and trying to understand what you want to do. Or there's a lot of resources out there for you to learn, and it's kind of overwhelming sometimes just because you want to be good at everything, but you should probably just streamline to one thing and then get better at another thing, and then also try to branch out, I guess. Take a lot of internships or jobs that are related to this field. I got an internship at my school. That was kind of cool. There's a lot of resources if you're at your school. They could be like that could guide you to an internship or a job placement. So I guess use your resources. But I think that's kind of it. The one thing I'm hoping to get is getting my dual citizenship and I guess the term I just found out is called a 200%er because I was born here in the U.S., but I also have a background being Hispanic, right? Being a Mexican. And the 200%er means that you're 100% United States citizen and a 100% Mexican citizen. So you're a 200%er because you understand both cultures. Cool term, I guess. It's not just that.
You're that mix of both.
Yeah, you're a complex individual. Everybody's a complex individual. And sometimes it's hard to find your identity, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint what that is at times.
Very well said. I liked how you talked about that there's lots of different flavors for cybersecurity because like some people who might be going just off this podcast might think, oh, it's just pretty much government, whether it's state or countrywide, and that's kind of where I'm going to be. I'm like, I'm always going to be the guy in the basement waiting for Mr. President or the governor to say, we need you to hack and protect us. And no, it doesn't have to be like that at all. There's lots of spots that if you want to be out there helping people with their security online and such, there's probably a spot for you.
Honestly, even the most operating systems are still being used, like Microsoft DOS. That's one of the oldest Microsoft operating systems out there right now that is still being used, but it's not connected shouldn't be connected to the internet. It still has a lot of vulnerabilities that isn't being covered by Microsoft. And who does use it? The energy sector. The nuclear power plants still use DOS because that's whatever it monitors in the nuclear power plant. A lot of it probably top secret. So there's another avenue that you would that people might want to get into is the energy sector. Oh my gosh, energy sector is actually kind of scary because that's one of the most vulnerable places that has been attacked throughout the world, and it's something that even the CIA, NSA is trying to protect, and it's something that they go after. Uh, I think there's yeah, I forgot there was a book that I read called Sandworm. They were talking about one of the vulnerabilities that we may or may not have created with Israel that attacked what's it called? Iran's generators, not nuclear generators, but just electricity generators, their power plants. And one of the vulnerabilities was that it made the generators overheat and break. That's basically it. And I forgot what the incident was called, but nobody took the blame for it. They just knew it happened. It was I guess, and not to say that like it may or like that like I'm hiding something. It's more that yeah, it's a known secret that the U.S. and Israel was involved, and it's something that's I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Maybe not instigate a possible future nuclear power.
That'd probably be a good idea.
Yeah, because like it's one of those things. Like I don't know. Maybe not instigate them. Anybody really don't instigate anybody, but at the same time, it's gonna happen. And I guess the best thing we can do is protest if that's something that people want to do. But even right now, what's going on with not to get political, but with the government, I even submitted a letter to my representatives, and I only got like one automated response, and that was from Ted Cruz, and I was like, awesome, which was funny because I looked up who my other representative was, and it was John Cornyn, and I'm like, dang, dude, you're still there? You're like 70. But if you're into cybersecurity and you want to get paid really well, you might want to get into the energy sector, and they pay a lot of money. Also, talking about the energy sector, let's say oil field, really big, nuclear power, the Hoover Dam, dams that produce energy. So those are probably 3 departments that you might want to look into for cybersecurity. Look up their job postings and see what they require. And because a lot of the time they post there's like, oh, we want this amount of experience, but we want these type of certifications. And then if you're interested in it, look up those certifications and get proficient at it. And just YouTube, Google, kind of cool.
Yeah, it's fun that it's not such a gate-kept sector of information where it's like, oh, it's really tough to learn how to code and such. You got to find another person who knows how to code, and they have to find you in a secret. They're like, nah, shit, they're going over there to learn it.
Right, and again, cybersecurity is not just coding. It is different aspects of it. There's like coding, then there's like maintaining the networks. It's mostly maintaining the networks for cybersecurity. What I'm studying for is it's mostly the internet is just this bundle of wires around the world, and that's how we communicate through it. Not just satellites that go beam. It is satellites and just it is.
Those are just more cables.
Yeah.
Well, cool deal. Thank you very much, Alberto, for being on our show today. I very much enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, same, dude. I miss you so much.
I'll hopefully get to see you again somewhat soon. I'm not sure when. I guess it kind of depends on if we both end up in Vegas here somewhat soon. That'll be an easy way for us to be like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's going on?
Well, I am going to Vegas this summer, so I could go visit my family. My schooling actually right now for summer, there's no in-person classes, so I'm going to be in Las Vegas for the whole summer. Yeah.
Well, then I guess without further ado, thank you to everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye for now. Hey, Albert. If you're listening to this episode, hi, Albert. Hopefully I get to see you this summer. Stay tuned, everyone else, in case there'll be some really cute pics if we're in Vegas together having a wonderful time. But as we wrap things up, I'd like to say thank you again for listening and to Albert for joining me. By sharing these stories, we hope to either inspire you onto a new path, shed light on how one may navigate the world of cybersecurity or joining the Navy, or in the very least help show you that whatever directions you take, you're golden. No life is a straight line, so embrace all the weird and wonderful sidetracks you've taken and probably will take in the future. If and when you decide to take on a new sidetrack, be sure to do your own research, ask around, reflect on what you hope to achieve, and remember your journey will be unique to Alberto's, even if you decide to pursue the same interests. In the end, this is a podcast of experiences, opinions, and open conversation, not a source of permanent truths. We'll end the show with a thank you to Kyle Tankersley for writing the song set as the intro and outro to this show. Performed by Cranky Tank and the Fixers, copyright 2019, forever and always, at this rate at least. Here's Avalon. See you all next time.
When she kisses me, her love sets me free, makes it